Yes, I know Penny. Actually, I got disqualified.
Yes. Many years. I was staying at but almost.
All of that. It's all of I wanted to congratulate him last year for the award.
Was that your doctorate? It's on my computer. That's a pretty good file here on my computer. But
Oh, you confused. Apologize.
Thank you so much.
One of them will do that. I am up and down like
But you know, it's coming out well.
next time we will have more people.
What's the guy you were talking to? He's the video man? Jared. Well, I don't know. Stathis is having me do this.
Sit down.
Okay.
This for Jenny. Tell her all the best. I wish you would be here.
Your seats. Our program is about to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the stage as our ceremony has begun. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the President and CEO of the International Swimming Hall of Fame, Mr. Bruce Wygo.
Way to go, Wygo!
Jim, do something. Thank you. Can you do something about the lights? Thank you very much for coming to the annual Paragon Awards. Every year, this is one of our most really entertaining and exciting activities, not for the multimedia show, but by the people that receive the awards. And this year, we've really had an incredible weekend so far with our International Aquatic History Symposium, and I just want to bring to your attention a couple of events that are going to take place tomorrow. 1956 Olympic swimmer representing the United States in Melbourne, Sunny Tanabe, is not only a great Olympic swimmer, and you'll see some of his memorabilia out there in the Hall of Fame, but is a legendary spearfisherman and underwater diver. And he has written really a fantastic book, The History of... Which one? One of these is The History of Spearfishing in Hawaii. And Duke Kahanamoko, he dove with Duke Kahanamoko and a lot of the other great Hawaiian swimmers that dominated the 1940s and Olympic tryouts and were the world record holders. I think, Sonny, you had, if there had been a 1940 Olympic team, there might have been 8 or 9 Hawaiians on that team that were just supreme then. So this history of spearfishing, he's going to give the talk at 9:30 tomorrow morning in this room and be available to sign books. It's really spectacular. And then after that, we have a great synchronized swimming documentary, Cheryl Fajanik on Sink or Swim. It's a terrific synchronized swimming show at 10:30. And then at noon, we have free lunch. And Lynn Shear, you may remember her as the ABC 2020 correspondent. She came down to research, and it's really one of the finest books on swimming I have ever read about the history of swimming, and she interposes that with last year her swimming through the Hellespont, which is something she'd always wanted to do. She majored in Greek literature at Wellesley, and it's really a terrific book. She's going to be here presenting that and signing it, and it's really going to be a terrific show. So if you have that chance to come tomorrow, please do. Also want to recognize that this is a new sculpture that's just been added to the Swimming Hall of Fame. Our mission is to inspire everyone to be a swimmer. And you may have looked around at swimming meets and diving meets and water polo competitions over the years. And the number of minority, particularly African American and Native American participants in our sport is very, very small. But what is the most incredible story not told outside of the International Swimming Hall of Fame is that up until the Civil War in the United States, African Americans and Native Americans were the great swimmers of the earth, recognized by virtually everyone. And this is an award that represents the tradition of swimming in Africa. On one side, it's a Sankofa bird, which is an African symbol, and that looks backward to help move forward. And on this side, you can see the representation of Anthony Nesty, the first person of African descent to win an Olympic gold medal in competition. So the other side represents all the African swimming skills dating back to the first time Europeans encountered them in 1451 when they went to sub-Saharan Africa. And I think we have at least one of the recipients. Is Eddie Kirk here tonight? No? Okay, and Lou? Leon Geis. Leon Geis, would you stand up, please? Leon Geis, this award was presented to the DeSable High School team of Chicago. Another one of these stories lost through history. This was the first award of this was presented to DeSable High School, which was an all-black high school in the city of Chicago that was a powerhouse team for many years and produced the first black all-American swimmer that we know of in the United States, who won the Illinois State Championship in 1950. So, thank you very much for coming and being a representative of your great school from the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. Leon was a diver, by the way, on that team. Now, helping me out tonight is, you've known him, he's the curator of the International Swimming Hall of Fame for many years. He was Buck Dawson's right-hand man, and we would be lost without him. And that's Bob Dunkel. So, Bob, would you come up to me? So, Bob and I are going to do a tag team match, and I see that Bob's wearing his fancy tie again. I know where someone could get that if they wanted to.
Actually, you can get them right up in the gift shop.
Yeah, well, you know, we're still trying to raise money to keep this place open. So, any little plug will do it. And also, when you guys are leaving and after this presentation, and I hope you come back in because we're going to have some documentary films that are part of our film festival tonight. And one of the films, for those people that are here in diving, but not only divers, but I would hope that anyone would be interested in this. Within the last month, we've received, as a bequest, the Olympic gold medal of Greta Johansson. She's the first woman to receive a gold medal in the aquatic sports in the world. She won it from the 10-meter platform diving. And she came to the United States with her husband, Ernst Branston, and behind their leadership, America dominated diving up until the Second World War under their guidance. Every one of the Olympic champions trained under the Branstons. So they were a superpower in Sweden in diving, and they brought that superpower skill over here. And you can see the Olympic gold medal of Greta Branston out there in the window, and we have a very short 15-minute documentary, and I hope you'll stay around for that, as well as a trailer for a new film that Cheryl Verjanik is doing on Greg Louganis, and then the Bud Greenspan films on Janet Evans, who's making her comeback, and also on the Rowdy Gaines and John Moffat story from the 1984 Olympics. So that's going to be immediately following this, maybe a 15-minute break. We'll clear out, and those people that want to watch those documentary films on our big screen here will be immediately after the event. So Bob will be back. I'm going to introduce the first Paragon Award recipient. And
That's good. We've got a lot of wonderful people to meet here tonight.
No, it's really fantastic. And we have a lot of wonderful people out in the audience. And I would dare say that we won't introduce them because we're going to miss some. But there's a couple people that we really have to introduce. And the first one on the list is also the oldest person on the list, Dr. Sammy Lee. Dr. Lee. And you may know that the London Olympics are happening in a couple months, and the last time the Olympics were in London, Dr. Lee won the Olympic gold medal off the 10-meter platform. One of the great coaches in diving history is here somewhere, Hobie Billingsley. Hobie. Right there. There he is, Hobie. Very memorable races. In fact, he claims the distinction that there were over, well, he should tell the story because I know I've lost it. But George Breen, one of the great swimmers of all time, George Breen. Where's George? No, he's already standing up. He's in the back. Tour first Tour. We're going to have the Olympic Games in Brazil in 2016. Tour had a lot to do with that, the president of the Confederation of Swimming in Brazil. And I think we have one person that's going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame tomorrow night. I may be wrong, but the only one that I saw is our very own Eldon Godfrey. Eldon? Are we missing anybody? Okay. Let's get on with the show. Okay. Our first recipient, and what's really great about this job is sometimes I actually have known some of the people that receive the awards for a very long period of time. And that's no exception with the first. This year's Paragon Water Polo Award recipient swam for Coach Don Gambrell at the City of Commerce, California, and represented the United States at the Tokyo Olympic Games in swimming in 1964. But as you can guess by the name of the award she's going to receive, she's being recognized tonight for her pioneering work in the sport of water polo. As a coach and promoter of water polo, particularly women's water polo around the world, she is non-pariah, or simply the best. She's also the first and only female inducted into the U.S. Water Polo Hall of Fame, and it's really my privilege and honor, and you need to read the biographies of all these people that are here because they really have tremendous, tremendous records. And women's water polo is in the Olympic Games, not just in part, but because of Sandy Nita. So Sandy Nita, Paragon Award recipient for the sport of water polo.
They always tell me as soon as I get up to make sure that I'm standing up. I just want to understand that I am standing up. I'd like to thank Bruce Wago for inviting me and the International Hall of Fame. U.S. water polo has just been terrific to me. My background is water polo and swimming. Going through the Swimming Hall of Fame, I haven't been here like maybe 30 years. And just seeing all the all the people that I used to swim with. It's very, very touching. And then to see that Coracia is out there, and I used to coach the Brazilian women's team, national team. So it's a really good connection, and I thank you very much.
To help present the awards, Jim Drzowski of Paragon, a division of Pentair Corporation. I can't say enough about Paragon and Pentair for supporting this award now for 17 years. And of course, Paragon means the best. And Jim,
Bruce.
one here. So we know we have to fake it again. In our effort to shamelessly promote the sale of ties, I neglected to bring up Jim Drzowski to say a few words on behalf of Paragon. Jim?
I promise I'll make it quick. And the last time I was here, I think Bruce actually gave me the tie off his neck to help promote the sale of ties, and I forgot to wear it today. I apologize. But it really is great to be back here in Fort Lauderdale for the 17th now annual Paragon Awards. As always, it's a great honor to be associated with this institution, this event. This year does mark a milestone. After this year's recipients receive the awards, we'll have over 100 Paragon Award recipients since the inception 17 years ago. Paragon is known as a leader in the design of swimming pool equipment for well over 50 years, and there's a simple reason why. It's really because we really try to do our best to listen to the industry experts and try to keep up with them the best we can. The people that work to advance the science and the enjoyment of aquatics. And the people in this room are really the people that help keep us on track. This year, there is a Paragon Award winner that has really had a profound impact on Paragon and really all of the companies in our part of the industry, and that's Joe Hunsaker. Among many of the other contributions, Joe has been the foremost pioneer of the advancement of the design of competition swimming pools, period. I think that's to say that with a period. And thankfully, Joe is also always very sharing with his ideas and innovations, and you'd be surprised to know how many of our innovations, known as a technology leader, has been us just reaching to keep up with the specifications of Joe Hunsaker and Councilman Hunsaker in general. He will certainly be greatly missed, and it's very fortunate to know that the values and that innovation continues on with the Councilman Hunsaker team. At the end of the day, we are a small industry, and this is just one example of how one person's work really impacts the work of all the rest of us. On behalf of Pentair, congratulations to all of this year's Paragon Award winners, and more importantly, thank you for sharing your expertise and passion in aquatics. Thank you.
Well, the Paragon Award for synchronized swimming. I think Stephanie may have been the person who has traveled the most to get here, the farthest. She's coming from Switzerland, although I'm not sure how far away on the other side of the globe Japan might be, or Hawaii with Ralph. But Stephanie, I think her greatest contributions to synchronized swimming has been her 28-year reign on FINA's Technical Synchronized Swimming Committee, 13 years as the chairman. She instrumented many changes that have been very complementary to the sport, such as one of those might be the changing of receiving higher scores from time spent underwater to the weight that can be lifted above the water. Remember those great bridges that have been recently seen? Well, 28 years of international service is a great thing, and I want to welcome Stephanie Heberle from Switzerland. Synchronized swimming.
Dear friends, hello everybody. Here, organizing committee of this event and ISHOF. It's a great pleasure for me, and of course a very big honor to be here today and receive this Paragon Prize. Synchronized swimming was really my world. I actually didn't do anything else in my life. But I had big fun, and I met many friends around the globe. And I, as you heard before, I could have some influence on the development of the sport. But of course, I'm not the only one. I saw a lot of people here today that helped me in what we have achieved in our sport. And I would actually like to name only 3 of them. Of course, Judy McGowan, I think she is well known here. She is the one who made the basic sport free for the technical routine, and her analytic brain helped the sport very much on coaching and judging level. And then the 2 Swiss who are here, my sister, she always supported me. She was in the judging education since the beginning of World Championships. And my partner, Sister Salera, who was the initiator for the new event, the free combination. And thank you very much. And of course, thanks ISHOF again for supporting the sport of swimming in the whole world. Thanks a lot.
This year's recipient of the Paragon Competitive Diving Award dove for the University of Miami down not just 25 miles down the road. He's a lawyer and former assistant state attorney who has held virtually every position possible within diving, from being a well-respected coach in where he now lives in St. Petersburg, Florida, to international competition manager, service on national and international technical committees, and president of U.S. Diving, just to name a few of the positions. His service to family, community, country, and sport of diving spans over 4 decades, and certainly his qualifications more than entitled him to being the recipient of this year's Paragon Award. Bill Walker.
And I feel kind of like Elizabeth Taylor's 7th husband on their wedding night. I know what I'm supposed to do. I have to find a way to make this interesting. Now, the first time I heard that was in, I'm going to say, about 1981. And it was a comment by the then new president of U.S. diving and one of my mentors, Phil Boggs. Phil was also a lawyer. And I was at the beginning of the various positions that I've held in U.S. diving at the time. And I watched this lawyer, this Olympic champion, as he gave himself for U.S. diving. And he poured so much in because, of course, we were all just coming out of the AAU at that time. The Amateur Sports Act was just really getting geared up. And the NGBs were just being formed. And I watched Phil as he proceeded and did all the things that he did to give us such a wonderful foundation in the sport of diving. And it reminded me of another great volunteer in my life. When I went to the University of Miami, I tried out for the team. I had just spent 2 years in Vermont, so there wasn't a whole lot of diving going on up there. Anyway, I tried out for the team and got cut. And so I got a job out at, some of you may know, Kings Bay Country Club down in Miami. And the manager is Pete Desjardins, so I tell him my tale of woe. And he starts to work with me. And at the end of the day, that man gave me my education, my life in diving. He tutored me, he killed me basically, he worked me to death. But the point is that following year, I went back to Miami, tried out again, got on the team, got my scholarship, and the rest, as they say, is history. And then we fast forward to someone we lost here that was a friend of mine. I was here I was at Miami when they began the Hall of Fame pool and things. And that is, of course, Ted Keller. Ted Keller's another man that I watched as he went through the process of working here at the Hall of Fame. And then I would hear from him and see him once in a while as we would cross paths as we went through diving. He was a great man. He totally gave himself to the sport. The sport is better for it. Our country is better for it. And I'm saddened by his loss, but I know that now he is indeed in a better place. My friends in diving, my friends, my family, people here in diving, we are a family, and it does work. And the reason that it works is because so many people do give of themselves. So many people do everything that they can do. I know within U.S. diving, we are such a family. And we are now led, of course, by Linda Paul, and we have had other leaders in the past. Linda Paul has done wonderful things to bring our family together. As we go forward, we're going to continue to advance, but U.S. Diving has been such a marvelous organization. The thing that I love about diving is that it doesn't matter if you are involved with your local team, which I am, or you're involved with the Olympic Games, which I've been, or you're involved with the national, whatever, it doesn't matter. Pick your level. You know what? It's the same passionate, wonderful people that are involved. And it has been such a wonderful experience for me to be involved. I do have to thank a couple of other groups of people. I want to thank my parents. I have some of them here now. They have entrusted me with their children. As coaches, we all know that without a parent's trust and confidence, you don't have anybody to coach. And I do thank you. I thank all my divers, the ones that are here now as well as the ones in the past. They have reposed their confidence in me, and it has allowed me to grow and flourish, excuse me, in my sport. But of course, at the end of the day, it is my own family. My wonderful wife, Joanne, who has tolerated my dedication, some might say obsession, to the sport of diving. And my sons, Mark and John, who over the years, yes, there were times when Dad was gone, off on his diving trips and things. And my new daughter, Kelly, John's wife, welcome to the family, and welcome to the family of diving, because you're now part of it. So I'm truly moved by this occasion. I did not see it coming, did not expect it. And I thank Bruce, I thank the Hall of Fame, I thank Paragon, and I really thank my family. God bless United States Diving, the International Swimming Hall of Fame, and all of us who labor for all of the children that we do in all of our aquatic disciplines. Thank you.
The Paragon Award for recreational swimming. Joe Hunsaker has been here at the Hall of Fame many, many times. He was a member of the International Congress. But the last time I saw Joe actually was in Indianapolis at Shapiro's Cafeteria. Now, who doesn't go to Indianapolis without going to Shapiro's? And Joe did, and we had a nice visit. But Joe was a pool designer. He combined with Doc Councilman to form Councilman Hunsaker and Associates. And they designed, virtually he had a hand in almost every pool in the United States and around the world. He was very instrumental in the program that Joe designed, was very instrumental in listing many of the qualities that he did. Joe died just a few months ago from complications with multiple sclerosis and cancer. And his son Scott is now the president of the company. And I'd like to introduce Scott Hunsaker in place of his dad tonight.
First of all, thank you very much. On behalf of my father, I want to thank the Hall of Fame. I also want to thank Paragon, and Jim, thank you for those really nice words. That was really appreciated. You know, Dad's passion was competitive swimming, both as an athlete and also as a designer, but it almost didn't happen. He was born in Girard, Kansas on a ranch, and he tells that story till the end of time, you know, walking uphill both ways to school kind of a thing. But on the way, his father was on the way to market with the herd of cattle, and on the way to market at age 5, his father was hit by a train, and his father was killed along with all the cattle. And then he and his mom moved to St. Louis, where she ran a general store, and then she passed away when he was 15 years old. So my dad was really a self-made man, and then he went into Cleveland High School. I'm a little tall too, he had a little on me, and he was going to go to the basketball team. And for the basketball team, he heard about the swim team and went out for it, thought he'd get in shape, and really fell in love with it. And he became a state championship twice, never made it to the basketball team, and was also a national YMCA champion. It's also where he met Ernie Bornbrock, and Ernie had a big impact on his life as well as Doc Councilman's. Without parents, he looked for a scholarship and went to the University of Illinois in Champaign. In between this, he was very frustrated with his swimming his freshman and sophomore years, and he'd heard about Doc and met Doc at an outing or event. And Doc invited him to train with him between his sophomore and junior years. So Dad hitchhiked to Cortland, New York, where Doc had his summer camp. And I actually got a chance to see Marge Councilman just recently, and she tells the story when my dad knocks on the door. She opens it, and it was like, okay, which one is this, and how does it fit into the mix? Because, of course, Doc didn't say that he had invited Joe to stay with him the whole summer. And so that was a little bit of news to her. But after Doc Councilman's influence on my father's swimming, he won 2 NCAA championships and also the AAU championship. He also held the world record for a very brief period of time. I had met one of the gals that he dated later in life, and she tells the story where they were dating and he was swimming, that she wrote home to her parents and told the story that she was dating the best breaststroker in the country. Being a young man, I thought that was pretty good. Hopefully it runs in the family. We'll see. But as Dad was preparing for the future, he kind of looked back at the past. And when he was 15, he was a counselor at the YMCA Camp Lakewood. He says he made $75 for the whole summer. And in the Chain of Rocks Bridge pool, he was a lifeguard and got $10 a day. And then he worked at the Champaign Country Club where his coach, Al Klingel, got him a job. And then his last year, he worked in a truck factory. So with that framework, he looked back and decided what he wanted to do with his life, and swimming was at the top of his list. The factory wasn't right up there. He had a very short stint selling life insurance and was an officer in the military where he tried to build a swimming pool at the officers' club. That was his first design challenge. And then he went to work for a man that built swimming pools in St. Louis, a gentleman by the name of Ken Williamson with Midwest Pool and Court. And so they were building many of their early subdivision pools in the early 60s. And they realized that the people that didn't show up for the neighborhood meetings were the ones that got elected president of the pool committee that were responsible for hiring all the lifeguards. So he saw a business opportunity and started Midwest Pool Management. In 1969, he held a clinic for all his coaches for the clubs he managed, and he had Doc Councilman come in and teach that clinic for 3 days. And during their time together, they were talking about the new development of natatorium in the United States and about how there was such a need for that knowledge to be shared. And that's really how Councilman Hunsaker got started, and it was incorporated in 1970. Their very first project was Cleveland State, then South Carolina, and then their major project was IUPUI, which was in the 79-80 time frame. In addition to his relationship with Councilman Hunsaker with the sport, he also served on the board of directors for the National Swimming Pool Foundation for 30 years. Bill Kent's in the room, and they served many times together, meetings. And he was also on the board here at the Hall of Fame as well, and spoke very, very fondly of it. In the bio in the book, he talked about some of his favorite projects, but I think one thing that is paramount is that he's done 5 of the Big Ten facilities, and right now our firm's working on the Penn State facility, so we're carrying on his legacy. Now there's something special about that I'd like to share. Being a son, you always get these pearls of wisdom. And when he passed away on March 11th, and by the way, I got word privately that the award was going to be bestowed to Dad, so I was able to tell him about a week before he passed away, and was thrilled. And so these little pearls of wisdom, I never realized he was doing it, but I knew about it. And he wrote these memos called For What It's Worth. And sometimes they might be a sentence, and sometimes they might be a paragraph. Well, I wanted to just give you a couple pearls of wisdoms he's left with our team at the firm. Don't confuse the urgent with the important. People base decisions upon what they think they know rather than what they know. An answer is not necessarily the same thing as a correct answer. This is my favorite as a business person. He instilled this into me over and over and over again. When a client doesn't pay you, wait for a choke point, then choke. This one might get me in a little trouble in the room. In our context, there's no such thing as the health department. You've talked to a guy in a cubicle on the 4th floor of a state-owned building. And then when you fix a mechanical problem, it usually stays fixed. When you fix a people problem, it seldom stays fixed. And then as a son, what he always says, the ability to adjust is a sign of leadership. And that we heard often. And so on behalf of my father, I want to thank everybody for your warm hospitality and for this award. Thank you very much.
Tough to read up here. Not that I need to read, because this year's recipient of the Paragon Competitive Swimming Award swam for one of ISHOF's founders, Honoree Dick Pappenbooth. And she represented the USA at the London Olympics, the Pan American Games, and was a finalist for the 1951 Sullivan Award. She was that good. However, great as she was as a swimmer, I know her as the most organized, efficient, and forgiving team administrator, team manager, and head of delegation that I've ever encountered or ever heard of. She is absolutely incredible. It's been a pleasure to drive her crazy with our events that we do every year at the USAS convention. But she's always so nice to me. With that, let me please introduce this year's Paragon Competitive Swimming Award recipient, Penny Taylor.
Bob? Wow, this is quite a nice gift for your 83rd birthday. I do want to thank the Paragon Aquatics for their award and also for their continuing support of the International Swimming Hall of Fame, which is a very part of our lives. My involvement in swimming has been great fun, and it's greatly enriched my life. But there's one thing I would like to just mention for all of you. We get so involved in our own disciplines that sometimes we forget that swimming is one big family, and what better place to celebrate that except at the International Swimming Hall of Fame that has honored so many of our athletes and contributors over the years. Right now, we have many people training for the greatest competition of their lives, the Olympics in London. And so I would like us all to wish them well, wish them good luck, and hope that their dreams will come true. Thank you very much.
Paragon Award for Water Safety. Ralph Goto is from Hawaii. Who wouldn't want that job? I mean, do you get many applications for your position out there, Ralph? He is the Department of works for the Lifeguard Services and Department of Emergency Services for Honolulu, Hawaii. He oversees a year-round staff of 156 full-time safety officers on 10 of Oahu's most popular and high-risk beaches. He manages a $9 million budget. Ralph is a very respected beach safety officer, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you Ralph Goto.
Thank you, Bob, and thank you, Bruce, and all the people at the Hall of Fame that worked on putting this together. It's an honor. We're in awe to be here, and certainly very happy and proud to be here. I did not buy the tie at the gift shop, but I'd like to thank Sunny and Vicky Tanabe for the Hawaiian tie. Also, I'd like to thank friends and colleagues, and most importantly, all of you that are here tonight to share in this wonderful award, and to Paragon Aquatics for the recognition of the work that we've all done. And it is work for some of us. It's a great job. It comes with a lot of pleasure, but it also comes with some challenges. And I'd like to recognize my colleagues from the USLA, the Professional Lifeguards of the United States, who have been very supportive in this award and in my career. As you know, in the United States, we've been able to make some progress in drowning prevention and reducing the number of drownings that occur in this country. We are reminded, however, that internationally and in other countries that the drowning rate is extremely high and that we lose hundreds of thousands of children every year to drowning. With your indulgence, I'd like to tell you a little story. There's a famous rock band called U2. Some of you guys are young enough to know who U2 is. And their lead singer is a guy named Bono. And he's a humanitarian, goes around the world for humanitarian causes. And so one of his concerts he was giving, he's in the middle of his concert, and he stopped and he asked everyone to be quiet for a while. And he started clapping his hands. And he did that for a little while. And then he said, every time I clap my hands, a child dies in the world from starvation or from poverty. And so someone in the back said, well, stop clapping your hands. So, if drowning prevention were that easy, then our jobs would be over. But it's a challenge for all of us, especially those in the prevention of drowning and in the profession of lifesaving. So I'd like to thank you all very much for being here and for sharing this great honor. Thank you.
Adapted aquatic athletes. He trains adapted aquatics instructors at the Clinic for Individuals with Disabilities at San Diego State University, which he's just retired from, but has held almost every office and leadership position available in the field of adapted aquatics, not only nationally, but internationally. Please welcome this year's recipient, Peter Offhesser.
I don't know how anyone could talk with that light in their eyes. I want to thank the Hall for this award. This is kind of unusual. This award is named after John K. Williams, who's a friend of mine, and known him for 37 years. And it's very rare that you get an award named after a friend and they're still alive. So I wish John could be here. I met John when I moved to San Diego in the early 1970s. And really, I was just like most people coming out of college wanting to teach physical education. And I went to the Red Cross and got certified and was teaching senior life saving. And I had a WSI and got to San Diego, and the director of the aquatics program, a lady by the name of Mary Rafalovich, got a hold of me and said, you're going to be my instructor trainer. And that lasted for about 20 years. And it probably would be going on now, but unfortunately Mary got sick and died. But anyway, it went on for a long time. And John Williams, I would teach the class 2 or 3 times a year for instructors, and John would come to every class. Now, John has a spastic cerebral palsy, fairly involved. But his parents, they lived on Mission Bay, which is right down by the ocean in San Diego, and they kind of threw him in the water when he was 3, and he learned how to swim, and he, still to this day, I always kid him, he's a little bit older than I am, he's still swimming. And John would come to my classes and speak. And then in 1983, I advised pre-physical therapy students for a long time, and I just had this, I'm ADHD, so you know how we get these crazy thoughts. And so I wrote a federal grant, and I started, it's called the Fitness Clinic for Individuals with Disabilities, which I ran for 28 years, which is individualized fitness programs, mostly for adults with, you know, little things like strokes and acquired brain injury, multiple sclerosis, cerebral palsy, spinal cord injury, Parkinson's, Lou Gehrig's, and so forth. And so John became one of my clients. So we have a really, really long history. And so I really appreciate this award because 37 years ago, I met John Williams, and it's certainly an honor to get this award. Thank you very much.
Next is the David's Wheeler Award, which is it's a Hall of Fame award for open water and marathon swimming contributions that have been made, and it's characterized with a large silver tray, which you will see in the exhibit room, in the front row. Today's recipient is not only a tough competitor. I know because I've trained with him a few times, and let me tell you, it's very, very difficult to keep up with Drury. But he's also a visionary who restarted the Manhattan Island Marathon Swim, turning it into one of the world's most iconic marathon swims. Due to Drury's efforts, New York City has become a dynamic hotbed, actually, for marathon swimming, and his Manhattan Island Foundation supports programs for teaching the kids of New York City to swim. It gives me a great pleasure to introduce to you Drury Gallagher.
Thank you for those kind words. It is an honor for me to receive the David Wheeler Memorial Award. I accept it on behalf of those associated with the Manhattan Island Marathon swimming over the years. I also dedicate it to the memory of Thomas Hetzel, who passed away September of last year. Tom and I were the co-founders and organizers of the Manhattan Island Swimming Association in 1981. I have a simple request of the nominating committee for this award. I would like to have Thomas Hetzel's name added along with me as co-recipients for this year's prestigious award. You see, there would be no Manhattan Island Marathon swim if it were not for Tom Hetzel. Let me take you back a few years to the mid-1940s. Tom and I grew up on the shores of the Atlantic Ocean, the western point of Long Island, in the town of Rockaway Beach. We were taught to swim by the legendary Joseph Ruddy, who was an inductee into the International Swimming Hall of Fame in 1986. The ocean was our pool and training center. After successful high school and college swimming careers, Tom and I went separate ways. He chose the long-distance open water competition, and I chose the Masters Pool competition. Tom was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1980, and I was inducted into the Masters Hall of Fame in 2006. Tom was responsible for not only swimming the English Channel 8 times early, I guess during the 60s and 70s, but he also had written a book to help many others accomplish their dreams and their goals. One of them was Doc Councilman, who came to Tom in his later years and said, I want to be the oldest person to swim the English Channel. And Tom helped him achieve that goal. Along the way, in the beginning of 1981, my oldest son, Drury Jr., died in a tragic accident. Tom called me a few months later and asked me if I would like to be an observer in his escort boat that July for one of his swims around Manhattan. I did, and that winter we talked about setting up a memorial swim, the Manhattan Island Swimming Association, a record attempt, an annual Manhattan Island swimming marathon. We were on our way. In the mid-1990s, we transferred the annual marathon swim to an organization headed by Morty Berger as the main event, with which to launch a series of swims in and around, up and down the rivers and under the bridges of Manhattan Isle. Morty Berger was a young swimmer who in 1987 successfully completed the swim around Manhattan and fell in love with the event. Today, under Morty's NYC swim program, there are thousands of swimmers participating in a series of 10 races during the year, as well as the marathon swim. Last year was the 31st anniversary of the Manhattan Island Marathon Swim. It is recognized as being part of the Triple Crown of open water swimming. Once again, I thank all of you who have been involved over the years with the Manhattan Island Marathon Swim. And I thank you for this honor. God bless.
I will bring someone up to talk in my place. At this time, I would like to ask 3 of our esteemed honorees to come up to the stage to help me present this next award. Is Hobie Billingsley here? Come on up, Hobie. Ron O'Brien. Ron O'Brien, Dr. Ron O'Brien. Is Ron here? Bob. And Toivo Oman from Sweden. I need these 3 gentlemen to help because this is a very big award. So if you guys would come up first, and then we're going to bring up a 4th gentleman. Where's Ron O'Brien? Is he here? Ron didn't make it? We're getting him. We have a little lull in the action. Toivo from Sweden, and he's one of the few divers who remembers, besides, well, someone out in the audience, who Greta Johansson was. And as I mentioned earlier, we have her Olympic gold medal, her scrapbook that had just come to us, as well as a lot of other memorabilia that's out in one of the windows. The first First woman from Sweden to win an Olympic gold medal, first woman to win an Olympic gold medal in the Olympic Games, and first diving woman to win an Olympic gold medal in the Olympic Games. This is done. We have a lot of Sweden here. We have much Sweden here in the Hall of Fame. Well, because it may take longer to get the actual presenter of this award, what we're going to do here is we're going to present the Dr. Sammy Lee Award. And to present that award, with the help of 3 prior recipients, as both these gentlemen have received it, is Dr. Sammy Lee. So Sammy, would you please come up? We're not going to wait for Ron, so Sam, the mic is yours. Because 3 minutes. 3 minutes? 2 minutes? Do you have a joke in the repository that can last for 2 minutes? Give me a 2-minute joke.
A 2-minute joke. I just want to say, seriously, the award that my wife created a long time ago, the Sammy Lee Award, that we gave to Bob Webster, who won the Olympics twice, and to Greg Louganis. The reason I'm going to be 92 August the 1st is that I married the right woman some 60 plus years ago. What I'm proud of that I've been able to live long enough to give an award to Tom Gump, who is, as you know, not only was a great diver, but he represents Duraflex, and he is the ultimate diplomat. I see him at international meets and people arguing with him, and he smiles. And I know he's thinking, this guy's full of bullshit. But you never know it's the way Tom is such a diplomat. But I want to say that in my day, people don't realize the first diving coach I ever had was Afro-American named Hart Crum. He also taught me how to kick a football, and I could punt 55 yards. But when they changed football from a single wing to T formation, all I saw was butts and elbows, so I couldn't play football anymore. So I just want to say that I'm proud to be a member of the Hall of Fame, but there's another one I want to thank the Japanese Americans who formed the 442nd, the military division had more Congressional Medal of Honor, Silver Stars, and Purple Hearts. If they had not done what they did when their parents were taken away to intern as enemy aliens, I don't think America would have accepted me as an Olympian. So I have to thank the Japanese Americans for 42nd. So I'm happy to meet a lawyer who introduced me today that he's one of the rarities. For me, one of the 90% of the lawyers are living proof that women can't conceive through anal sex. I want to thank you for your kind attention, and may I live long enough to be able to say come to the next Hall of Fame indoctrination. Thank you. Oh, yeah, Thomas Edel, would you please come up and receive this award?
And also joining us up on the stage, the great Ron O'Brien.
Well, this is absolutely the most beautiful diving award in the world. And it's such a great honor because if you look up here on the stage, Ron O'Brien, 8-time Olympic coach, Toivo Oman, a great contributor who started the Swedish Cup about 40 years ago. It's the most popular diving meet ever in Europe. And he helped modernize the Olympic and current diving rules. Hobie Billingsley, coach of many Olympic champions, fantastic man who I idolized my whole life. And Sammy Lee, the greatest mentor in the world. I don't ever remember competing in a national championship or anything that Sammy wasn't there, long after he finished himself. The only thing I can say about Sammy is, I talked to Roz, she says he's not a great lover, but he's got a cute way of getting on. But anyway, this is a great award. I'm so proud. And I met somebody out there earlier, and they said, you're getting this award for life achievement over your whole life. I thought that sounded kind of final. And I hope it's not the end of my life. But anyway, thank you very much. I'm very proud. Sammy, you are the greatest.
History up here.
Introduce to you Steve Graves, who is the World Executive Director for the World Baby Congress. And he's going to present the Virginia Hunt Newman Award.
World Aquatic Babies and Children Network, in partnership with ISHOF, takes great pleasure tonight in honoring Nico Saito from Nagoya, Japan,
for her efforts in baby and young children's swimming. She studied under American pioneer teachers in baby swimming, Virginia Hunt Newman, Crystal Scarborough, and Esther Williams there in California, Southern California. She was the first to start teaching babies in an organized program in Japan, and went on to write her first book on baby swimming in 1976, and followed that up 3 years later with her book on swimming for expectant mothers. Her program is called Aquamics, which combines baby swimming and rhythmic activities. And she has her program under the name Saedo Swimming Academy. So, Nico, please come up. And it's a pleasure to honor you for your efforts in baby swimming and children's swimming.
Thank you for your nice words, Steve. So, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. So, my name is Nico Saito. I came from Japan. So, today is the best day of my life to receive this Virginia Hunt Newman Award. So, who is my role model? So, I think you are everything who has helped me. So especially to my sister Nobuko, who has been supporting me since the beginning of my career. I have been teaching baby swimming for 50 years. I coined the word academics, which combines baby swimming and rhythm. So I will continue to teach swimming with passion and devotion. It is such a pleasure to watch children's smiling face as they learn to be in the water. Also, I would like to thank the American people who have been helping us when the devastating earthquake and tsunami struck Japan March 11 last year. Many swimming schools helped me by sending money and goods to the Tohoku children. Thank you. We are all still working hard with this ongoing recovery in Japan. Thank you so much for your support. I continue to teach swimming to the theme of water and music rhythm to children so that they can continue swimming safely and to be happy in the water. I thank you everything. So thank you, Nobuko-san, Jackie. I understand my speech. So I hope. Many times English is so difficult for me. I'm sorry. Thank you. どうもありがとうございました。
Our next award is the George G. Harold Martin Award. G. Harold Martin was a local judge here in the city of Fort Lauderdale, who started a program called Every Child a Swimmer, and one of the great promoters of the Swimming Hall of Fame, and with the city of Fort Lauderdale to bring the Swimming Hall of Fame to Fort Lauderdale. This year's recipient is a friend of mine. He's been involved in aquatics his entire life, and recently succeeded me as president of the Swims Foundation, which is an organization dedicated to water safety with children. And he's done a remarkable job. He's involved with the National Drowning Prevention Alliance. Really, his whole life has been dedicated to swimming and teaching people to swim and preventing drowning. I'd like to ask Ken Rowland to come up. Aquatics Director of the City of Fort Lauderdale.
Whoa. Hello, everybody. Oh, my goodness. First of all, I just like to say I'm just blessed. Just to be alive, to breathe, to put my face in the water and swim every morning. It's just a blessing just to be here. Thank you, Swimming Hall of Fame. Thank you, Jim Martin. And, you know, the thing is, I just want you to know that this has been a long, long road. I have, from the age of 2, my uncle was the supervisor at the Sunland Park pool. He grabbed me and threw me in the water and said, "Boy, you better swim." And he said, "Kick your feet and move your arms." And I finally made it to the wall, and every day I was swimming ever since. And I've been truly, truly, truly blessed. There's so many people I just want to thank. And I have so many brothers and sisters that this has been a long, arduous road. And I have so many brothers and sisters that help me. I just want to say thank you to my brother from another mother, Mr. Barry Shaw. Barry Shaw, stand up, man, wherever you are. I can't see you, the light's so bright. But Barry Shaw, without you, my brother from another mother, this would never happen. And my sister from another mother, Miss Kim Burgess, thank you so much. And then my partner in crime, Miss Sister Sybil Gordon, who is my spiritual leader every day. She just helps me. So can you all give those folks a round of applause? I was so blessed to know Judge G. Harold Martin. What a wonderful man. I was so appalled when I went to a drowning prevention meeting, and they were telling me about the drowning rate, especially in my neighborhood, right where people were growing up, right here. And here, growing up here in Florida, you can't go anywhere without going over some body of water. And children were dying that I knew. And it just affected me. And one of the things that I always look back upon in life is that swimming was something that I always came back to, no matter what. I was on tour with the Temptations. Oh, yeah. I'm telling you. And I was doing all kinds of stuff. But one day, I was in an automobile accident, and my heart stopped, and I saw the light just like this, and I went. Maybe am I having an epiphany now? I don't know. But I saw the light and everything else, and I said, man, if I can ever make it through this, I promise, I will come back and I will teach people life-saving skills. And that happened November 1980. And I had to learn how to walk, I had to learn how to talk, I had to learn how to use my vowels, everything all over again. I started all over again, just like a baby. And one of the first things that happened in order to keep me going was I had to walk down to the pool every day, every morning, just to swim so I could get my body moving right. And I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a living proof that there is a God because I'm alive. And it was swimming that helped me do this. And so I'm keeping my promise, especially to the beloved G. Harold Martin. I sat on a bench with him, and we sat down and we started talking about how we can make every child a swimmer. How we can start teaching innovative things like if they're learning over, under, and through in their preschool, why can't we teach over and under and through in the swimming pool? If they're talking about how we can count change in our pocket if the pool is 25 yards, why can't we say that's 25 cents and then we can learn other things besides just swimming? And so this has been one of the main foundations of my life is I just want to make every child a swimmer. I'm looking at the whole wide world, and until the whole world swims, I'm just not going to be satisfied. I'm just telling you right now. So one of the things that really just moves me is when I get in the water and I can bring these kids down, and we have this prolific program that started with Barry Shaw, who was president of a Kiwanis Club, and I came to him and I said, man, I got these kids here, that all of these cool schools, and I want to bring them over and teach them how to swim. And he said, okay, what do you need us to do? And they started writing checks. And we started bringing kids over, and then we ended up doing about 4,000, close to 4,000 kids that year, which is in like a 3-month period. We just, every 30 minutes, we just kept rolling over kids coming in. And I mean, don't I look a little prunish up here, from some of the days there? But I just am just so proud and so blessed to be here. Thank you, Swimming Hall of Fame. Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Sister Sybil. Once again, my brother from another mother, Barry Shaw. Thank you all.
Our ISHOF Service Award. I want to recognize a person who has really helped tremendously. Many, many hours of hard work to organize our inaugural International Aquatic History Symposium and Film Festival. Stathis has worked extremely hard. He has designed the website. He signed abstracts for review by his associates. And he answered any and all correspondence over the years, over this past year. For our first year, the symposium has been really a good beginning, a great beginning, from which we can build on in the future. And much of it is due to his efforts. Coming from Greece, everything is Greek to me, that he says, but it works. And so I'd like to recognize now Stathis Avramidis from Greece.
Good evening. In 2009, I visited the International Swimming Hall of Fame for the first time in my life. And as I walked in the museum, Bruce Weigo, the president of the Hall of Fame, asked me, "What do you think about our museum?" And I was so amazed, so the only thing I could say was, "This is wonderful, this is my home." He smiled and he said, "Your home, eh? You never know, it might be one day." The same year I was presented with the Paragon Aquatic Safety Award, and the person who nominated me, Dr. Tom Griffiths, had been awarded from a second Hall of Fame. It was that year that I was taught the expression, "keep up with the Joneses." Apparently, I could not keep up with him. Last year, I was invited to present here in this International Aquatic History Symposium and Film Festival my 10th book about water safety. And I asked to sleep at the changing room of the swimming pool in order to save the hotel money. Instead, they gave me an apartment to stay, and they asked me to act as the co-chairman of the event. So I got an office where there was a label that said, "Everyone brings joy to this office. Some when they come, and some when they leave." I come from a very poor country and very poor family, Greece. The country is great with history, the country that has Alexander the Great, Aristotle, Socrates, Plato. As you know now, Greece is at the middle of a financial tsunami, and for the first time since World War II, there are people that are committing suicide because of desperation, and they're trying to find food in the bins. So this is a very depressing and discouraging situation for someone who wants to create in his life. So I was very fortunate to keep my mind and my heart busy by undertaking several aquatic and safety activities as part of my job in the Hellenic Center for Disease Control and Prevention in Greece, as well as my work here at the Hall of Fame. I feel the need to thank my family, Pantelis, Iosifina and Eleftheria, for their love and tremendous support throughout all my life, as well as the Hellenic Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the organization that gives me the freedom to represent my country here and make my passion profession, and also to thank the Hall of Fame Honorary Committee that gave me the opportunity to give me this award, and award me actually for second time within the last 3 years. Now I feel that I am able to keep up with the Joneses, and that I bring joy to the office every time I come in. Thank you for feeling me, for making me feel proud for my work, and because I am Greek. Thank you.
Well, that brings us to the conclusion of this year's 2012 Paragon Awards. I want to thank you all.